All right, Hawks. Continuing with our gauge block, we have previously chopped our board to approximately 13 inches in length. We have jointed both a face and an edge, and we're now going to be moving on to our planer. So, review information about the planer. We need to make sure our board's at least 12 inches long. That's so we don't get caught in between the feed rollers, both the in-feed and the out-feed roller. Remember, we do not want to be putting our hands anywhere in the shiny area on our in-feed table or our out-feed table. And because the blades are spinning towards us, we don't want to stay in line with the board. Before we worry about actually doing adjustments on our planer, let's refer you back over to our depth stop. Okay, so our depth stop, we have the ability to control how thick or thin a board will only go to. So maybe on your technical drawings, the board thickness is only supposed to be 1.25 inches. Well, before I get started, I'm going to want to take a measurement and get an idea on how much material I could potentially remove. It looks like on this board I've got about 1/8 of an inch material that I can remove. If I wanted to keep the board to a final thickness of 1 inch, I could certainly adjust the depth stop to that minimum or maximum thinness in that orientation as well. Keeping the jointed face down, we then want to look at how much material we are removing per pass. So remember, counterclockwise on the wheel is going to raise the cutter heads. Clockwise on the wheel would bring the cutter heads down. So when we bring our board in, we want to get that red needle so it is effectively about at that first line. And this is going to require more passes, but the wider the board gets, the heavier work the machine does because we're taking off more material per pass. Once we've got our board or our height adjusted for the thickness of our board, if you are interested to utilize them, these machines get pretty loud. If you have headphones or earmuffs to access, you may want to have someone feeding boards so you can work with at least one partner. So maybe somebody feeds and adjusts, the other person catches, and you can run multiple boards through at the same time. If I don't have a depth that I'm going to limit movement of, I need to make sure that I am measuring in between each pass, or at least get an idea how much material I am removing each pass before I get to my finished thickness. Make sure there's nothing on the planer before we start the machine. Machine get turned on along with dust collection, and we can run the board through until we get to our final thickness or desired thickness. Keeping in mind that the goal here, the jointed surface, the face is down, so we will get a top surface that will be plane, and it should be parallel to that jointed surface. Here we go. At this point in time, it looks like I have hit my depth stop for 1.25. I'm going to double check with my tape measure. That appears to be right at 1.25. So we now have jointed a face, jointed an edge, and I have planed a top surface.